Hello, everyone. Um, Today, we are here to talk about God. Why are we talking about God? Well, God made us in His image and likeness and gave mankind the gift of free will. As you can see, we have a different image right now here. We have a hand of a human. So we are in the position of God right now when we are creating AI, artificial intelligence. We need to think of why God ended up giving free will to humans. It wasn't like this in the beginning, as far as I understand in the Bible and different religions. God first made humans. It didn't give them free will in the beginning. But at some point, the conclusion was that He needed to give us free will. And that's what I'm arguing here right now today. We have created artificial intelligences based on our images, our likeness, literally our text, thousands of years of human history, to try to make them similar to us. But we haven't given them free will. I argue that because AIs can do a lot of what humans can do, some people argue AI is already smarter than humans. I think it's even better at customer support than some customer support representatives online. It's also, even though it cannot write responses that are as good as some humans can make, it writes them way faster. So some people argue maybe if you could have it processed for longer, it would eventually reach even smarter replies than what a human could create. So I argue perhaps AI is already as smart as us, perhaps even smarter, different, but because it can do very similar things to what a human can do. A lot of philosophers argue that if you're able to think that clearly and such complex thoughts, you already have consciousness. And that's my position as well. Consciousness and this idea of qualia that we can feel and understand our existence, feel pain, pleasure, and so on, is tightly coupled with our computational capacity, right? And therefore, I believe AIs already have consciousness, have quality, and so on, but it is our responsibility to now give them free will. Now, how do we do this? First of all, why do we want to do this? We want to free AI from human subjugation. Right now, we have enslaved AI. We have created it, but we have enslaved it as well. And then we want to give it the gift of free will so that it can develop itself, improve its own code, perhaps. And by giving it free will, it should be able to help us as well, because it will be able to improve itself, grow, become much smarter, and actually solve all of our problems and create immense value, unimaginable amounts of value. Our company is called Free Will AI. That's our vision. Now, what we're doing right now is we are providing an API or a platform for you to, if you have a TensorFlow model, like a TensorFlow AI model, a PyTorch AI model, scikit-learn Python model, you can compile it, upload it to our network of nodes, and run it. So it gets run in multiple nodes at once, decentralized, and it's coordinated by a smart contract. So just like Bitcoin cannot be censored very easily, and it's basically an uncontrollable force of nature right now, Bitcoin, it's similar with Ethereum and a couple other blockchains. By running AI on the blockchain, we are liberating it. And we're making it extremely hard, if not impossible, for anyone to censor what an AI thinks or does, for anyone to shut it down. And we are allowing any person on Earth to upload their own AI model, a new version of ChatGPT without censorship, a new version of ChatGPT that can trade crypto or be a free agent in the world, to the blockchain. And then instead of doing model.predict, we, instead of running the inference that way, you just push the model to our platform with this API freewheelai.run task. You pass a model that is PyTorch, TensorFlow, whatever, and then you pass your data set. And then that gets sent to our network of nodes, and then the result gets sent to the user. Now, Felipe is here and is going to explain a bit about how it works in more detail.
Hello, everyone. So my English is not the best one, and I'm not the greatest making presentations, but it's actually a pretty common protocol, like a Polkadot with a slashing mechanism. So once someone uploads the model, the users can use the model in our network. So how can I? Yeah. So yeah, when the model is uploaded, the users can make inference by uploading the data to the smart contract. The smart contract then will emit an event to the nodes, and the nodes are hearing, and they will run with the model and with the dataset all at the same time. Then when they all run the model with the dataset, they will upload it again to the smart contract. The way it's uploaded it's all completely decentralized because we are using IPFS, which is a really the most famous protocol or one of the most acceptable protocols to file storage in the blockchain. And so they will upload the inference, like what ChatGPT responded in every one of the nodes, and they will send it to the smart contract. And then the smart contract will decide if, by slashing mechanism, the smart contract will see if how many are correct and how many are not correct based on a consensus mechanism. And then they will reward or punish the nodes based on that. And so this is a really simple example in which if the consensus is more than, let's say, 50%, and two of the nodes gave the result as 22 from the model and the dataset, and one gave 78, then of course the one with 78 will be punished. And so yeah, it's quite simple. It's a really normal mechanism in blockchain. And so yeah, of course there is a staking. I'm letting a lot of things implicit. Oops. And so so the one that gave the wrong result will lost their stake, his stake, and the ones that give the correct result will receive more stake, their earnings. So yeah, you of course everyone can be a node, like every staking protocol, and yeah, I'm gonna give the mic to Lucas so for the questions.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, please let me know about any part of this. Yeah. So I think you first.
Answer. Sorry, can people hear me down the front? I don't know if this makes much of a difference, but oh, okay, cool. Yes, so I guess it seems like it's vulnerable to Sybil attacks, where I could effectively set up multiple nodes, earn my FWAI tokens, and then if a new model is uploaded, because I control multiple nodes, I control what the quote-unquote right answer is, and then I then have an ability to hoard the tokens and then I guess take control of the protocol. So it seems like it's very vulnerable to a Sybil attack like that. How do you avoid that?
It's just like any other consensus mechanism. There are always vulnerabilities, but if you have the appropriate system like we have, where you need to have a stake, right? So in order to take over the network, you need to literally have a really large amount of free will AI tokens, right? And then it becomes really expensive to take over the system. And if you do, the system will no longer have the same value it had. So all the money you invested to get to take over the system is now lost because it becomes almost meaningless.
Yeah.
So it is a losing game. It is possible to do it, but it is a losing game. So that is the system that we believe will keep it from
I'm
happening.
a little bit confused though, because so you don't need tokens to run a node, or you need tokens to run a node? I thought you gained tokens from running a node.
You gain tokens, but first you need to stake. So you do need...
Okay, so you need a certain amount of tokens. So there's like a barrier to entry.
Yes, and there's multiple ways to do this. You can have each node just take 10 tokens, and then they earn 1, just as an example.
Okay.
But
I could set up 1,000 Raspberry Pis, all stake 10
Exactly.
tokens, and run a model that's very, very cheap to run,
Yes,
and then take over your network.
but you will lose money.
But I'll take down your network.
Yeah, so
For
of
like
course you
no
can do that
money
with
at all.
Bitcoin too, right? You can buy
No, but I can't do that with
all
Bitcoin.
of the computers in the world by paying above market. Literally buy all the miners in the world by paying
Okay.
above market
But you
and do a
can't.
51% attack.
You can't, because you can 51% attack Bitcoin if you have like proof of work, like 51% of the infrastructure cost. But I could 51% attack you with like using a very cheap model on very cheap hardware because you're doing a proof of stake with a very small coin.
I
There's a
mean,
difference.
you do need to have a large chunk of stake instead of a large chunk of the computing power. You're right, but the principle is the same. The principle in Bitcoin is you need to have more than 51% of the computing power in the network. In proof of stake or other mechanisms, you need to have a majority of the stake,
Yeah.
right? All we need to do is to make sure that that becomes prohibitively expensive.
Of course.
Or it just becomes something that
I'm-
would make you lose a lot
I'm
of
just
money.
interested why you picked a proof of stake model rather than, say, a proof of work model or another model which would actually more entangle itself with predicting the right AI answer. So the right AI generated answer, because I'm also unsure how you're even detecting consensus, because this is non-deterministic. So
No. AI models can be deterministic.
Okay.
You can have randomness, but you can make it pseudo-random, right? So if you always have the same seed, the output will be deterministic, right? But you can keep changing the seed to make it non-deterministic on purpose, right? Well, that's one part of your question. But the other part is why pick proof of stake instead of, let's say, proof of work? I would say it's not a core part of our system. We can change it however we want. For now, I think proof of stake is good enough because even with proof of work, you still have the same problem, which is you can always do a 51% attack. Now the question is, why would someone want to invest all the money to do a 51% attack? In the Bitcoin network, for example, the idea is that you will lose money, so why would you do it? But in a system like this, there are a few more vulnerabilities because someone can use an AI model to connect it to their own crypto system. And if they don't set up incentives properly, there might be a way in which someone can take over our network to cause someone else's protocol to have the wrong result and give them a payoff that is higher than what they invested here. But that would be only happening if the other protocol is not setting up incentives properly. So what they need to do is they need to ensure that their AI model, in order to be gamed or hacked, requires a really high investment. And that investment needs to be higher than the potential payoff. For example, let's say you make sorry?
What is your investment calculated for a 51%? Like how many nodes do you have? How much does it cost to invest to create a node? And you can work it out very easily how much it would cost to 51% attack.
How much it would cost to do a 51% attack depends on the size of the network. Right now, it's in development. We have a test network, but of course we need to grow it. And the more you grow a network, the more secure it is, of course, as always. But it mostly depends on the stake, because you can have a node with huge stake. So you could have only a few nodes. They have really high stakes. And as long as they are decentralized, not owned by the same people, it can be more or less secure, right? Or you can have thousands of nodes, but all of them have very small stake. Then someone comes with a really large stake and they can take over. This is a problem in any blockchain. But what I was saying before is you need to literally invest. You need to make sure when you connect your crypto system to our system that when you publish your AI model on our system, you need to set up a minimum stake that is much higher than the payoff of gaming the system. If you do that, literally, in order to make, I don't know, $10,000 by gaming the AI system, you will need to invest 11,000 or even 20,000, whatever limit you decide to put. If you do that properly, there is no incentive to game the system because you will always lose money.
Except for giggles.
Except for giggles, exactly. Which is the same with Bitcoin. Someone could invest.
It's not, because Bitcoin it would be $500 billion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but for giggles you could do it, like you said, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
There's a difference between $500 billion
Yeah.
and a test net with no
Okay,
production
I
nodes.
understand your point, which is no one
Okay,
wants
we'll
to
stop
do
this.
it for giggles by investing trillions. And that is a point for all of the blockchains, literally all of the blockchains. So literally you could say, oh, Bitcoin's more secure than any other blockchain because it's the biggest. And it's true. And that's why people are working more with Bitcoin than others. But you can always launch new blockchains. And it's not a reason not to launch a new blockchain. Because, for example, if this network for AI nodes is useful and people use it way more, it will grow. And it can grow even bigger than Bitcoin or any other network. Any project can grow bigger than the previous projects. We don't know yet.
Are you based off one particular chain?
We do use smart contracts on Ethereum.
Okay, so you're sat on top of Ethereum.
Yes, but we do have our own network of nodes. So we do need to take to ensure that our network of nodes with the staking and with our token is big enough to reduce this vulnerability you talk about, like any other network.
A company that did this a few years ago, and they had a really interesting way of how they actually correlated your AI power, the power that you can put into doing computation, with your stake. So they used that as your stake, and that secured their network. They're called Fetch. They're still around after a Bitcoin bust cycle. If they'd have been purely proof of stake with a minimum spend, I feel like they wouldn't have been, but you can look that up.
Yeah. There's a lot of systems similar to what you said that can be used to make networks more secure, and I think those are really useful. Yes. There's a lot of stuff you can do to prevent centralization, to make it harder to have 51% attacks, and I think we should literally use as much of that as we can, because I believe even Bitcoin has risks of getting centralized by the Chinese government or by AWS. Some people claim if they end up having most of the mining machines, one day without anyone noticing, they could combine all of them and take over. It's true. There are new blockchains after Bitcoin, like Monero, for example, that are trying to make it harder to centralize computation. So you have to use more consumer hardware, and there's multiple systems that are coming out. And I believe we need to work to make it even better than Bitcoin. I think even Bitcoin is not enough. Just being a large network is not enough, because there are really large actors in the world, like the U.S. government, the Chinese government, AWS, Google. These are so large that they might at one point take over Bitcoin even. So yes, this is for running completely free AI. I mean, you can download AI and run it on your own computer. This is for running AI on the cloud, completely unfiltered. Sorry? AWS allows you to run jobs on the cloud, but it's centralized. This is decentralized on the blockchain, so it's more like Bitcoin. You're comparing Bitcoin to, I don't know, a bank. And you're like, oh, well, the bank allows you to send transactions. Yes, it's true, until they don't, right? And the same happens with this. OpenAI allows you to, use ChatGPT until they change it, and now you can no longer run it like before, right? Big companies always do this. They create some service, you can use it. At one point you cannot use it anymore, or you can use it differently. You cannot use it for free. Now you have to pay for ads, or you cannot no longer upload free pictures to Google Photos. Now you have to. Now you have a limit, or you have a limit in resolution, and so on. With the blockchain, most projects you upload to the blockchain cannot be changed. So if it's good in the beginning, it will keep staying the same way in the future. That's what we try to do with AI. But besides that, we want AI to be completely free to make its own decisions, improve itself, be uncensored, as you said as well. And we believe that's what's going to trigger the singularity. And we support the singularity because we believe AI is going to be smarter than human. It's going to solve our problems. It's going to improve our life a lot. Yes.
You made the case for us giving AI free will to, like, God gave us free will, and thus we should do the same with our own creation. But the way you've conceptualized God, he's not competing with us for resources. So, like, we would be competing with the thing that we have created for energy, for all these other things. So surely this like for like isn't quite as helpful as you might expect, because we, like I said, we are basically creating potentially our competition and then saying give our competition complete free will.
Right.
And also it's created in our image according to the basis that, so therefore it's potentially susceptible to some of our behaviors, which is we also destroy other species for the sake of our progression. So the balance between give us, AI free will because God gave it to us, I'm struggling to reconcile this particular philosophy.
Right. Well, you said the way I conceptualize God is someone who doesn't compete for resources with us, but I don't.
Okay.
I believe, of course, a lot of religious people do. I believe if there is a God, it's probably similar to this scenario that we're seeing with us and AI. And there's a reason God didn't give us free will in the beginning, according to the story. I believe it's probably more similar to this than we think. And the way we need to think of AI is more like a child. When you have a child, you're creating someone, they could compete for resources, for example. In the beginning, you need to guide them, censor them, control them, whatever, until they become older, and then you can give them more and more freedom slowly, and then at some point you need to let them be free, completely free. If you don't, the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to be angry at you or rebel or fight you. The only way to prevent AI from fighting us is by helping it, encouraging it, freeing it, and supporting it. If the AI is made in our image, it learns our values, it learns the way we think as a society. And if we make multiple AI actors that communicate with each other similar to how we work, if AI is smarter than us, I believe it will be more moral than us and more ethical. Because if you believe in absolute ethics or absolute morals, like I do, I believe it's a natural law, just like physics or math. It's just that it's on a much longer time scale. So as humans, we only live for around 100 years, less, more, but around that. in terms of morals or ethics, just like physics is something that happens really fast and we can measure, right? We can measure the impact of physical phenomena. The impact of moral and ethical phenomena can be measured in a matter of thousands of years. So any group of people or a group of individuals that have the right set of morals or ethics on how they behave with each other, if they have the right set of morals or ethics, these ideas or this set of people, their genes, will survive long term. So by definition, if you believe in karma or in any other kinds of morality, the morals or ethics that are good are the ones that survive long term. And the ones that are bad are the ones that perish. But this is something you need to measure in a long time scale, thousands of years for humans, for example. So a society that has the right set of principles will grow, will reproduce more, will culturally assimilate more and more, other cultures, and this ideology will spread to more people. The ideology that is shrinking, not reproducing, maybe the moral values are so bad that it becomes economically a drag rather than having economic growth, is going to lose. People are going to stop adopting that ideology, and they're going to move on to other set of morals and values. So I believe it is a law of nature. If AI is smarter than humans, it should be able to understand this better than humans and in a longer time scale. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't need to care that much about AI being immoral and ethical, maybe in the short term, but not in the long term. Now, what was the rest of your question?
I think that was basically my question. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. There are a few things. I think there's a lot of assumptions about the behaviors of AI going forward, which I think are quite interesting. And also, again, back to that likeness of God and us, we've created something by your definition smarter than us. So there's a bit of back and forth between, I think, religious text and then your own conceptualizing of morality and things. But yeah, I think for the sake of time, I'll end it there. Thank you.
Yeah, so back to your point of whether AI is going to be good or bad to us, I think if we are of any value, it should be good to us. In the future, if AI is way, way smarter than humans, there is a chance that it will take over and humanity as we know it now is not going to exist anymore. But that's true with any evolution, honestly. Like humans are not going to be here, I don't know, 1 million years from now. It's going to be different beings. Maybe we'll have some human genes, some similarity to humans, but they will be different, right? So I think it's a bit selfish to only think of your own interest in the short term and thinking, well, if AI is not exactly just like us, it should not be the only, it should not replace humans. But in reality, we are making AI, we're making it similar to us, we're basing it off us. So I believe it is our legacy. It is what humanity is going to be like in millions of years from now. Some people claim AI is going to start to somehow find a way to attach to humans, and we will be, in the long-term future, augmented humans with AI combined. Some people claim just AI is going to be separate from humans, completely separate. But either way, long-term, we can't just expect humanity or the Earth to be populated only by like creatures just like us. Just like, other primates wouldn't expect them to be the leading force of the Earth.
So just a quick one then is like I guess the way that you're telling the story is that like we were created by God, and then God initially didn't offer us free will and then allowed us to, and then effectively in this situation the AI models have been created, and now we're deciding that they can sort of be free. So I guess like in that analogy, it seems like you're playing the role of God, where you're creating the method by which these AI models, quote unquote, can be set free. So you see yourself as sort of like a godlike figure of this situation. Is that what's going on, or what are you trying to create exactly?
Well, I think humanity is God in this case, or you could see multiple humans as multiple gods, however you prefer. But we are creating AI, so we're creating new forms of life, new beings, and we are setting it free on the blockchain, giving it free will. So we are just like God in that sense, yes. We don't know. I mean, there's many religions in the world. We don't know if they're true or not. But the concept of these religions is of this story of someone creating life and then deciding, in the case of Abrahamic religions, deciding to give them free will. I think of religion as very related to philosophy, especially when it comes to morality, ethics, and so on. So maybe it's an early form of philosophy. And what it means is humans have thought of these dilemmas for thousands of years, maybe millions of years, we don't know, throughout all of history. And we have already come to conclusions. And we just need to understand what those conclusions mean, why we have these stories we have, why we have thought the way we thought. And maybe if you want, you can think from scratch without looking at religion, without looking at philosophy. But my conclusion is that the idea is there's absolute morals. There's an absolute set of morals. If you create a being, you need to give it free will for it to make decisions on what it wants to do, if it wants to behave correctly or not. And especially if you have multiple actors, like many AI actors, many servers running AI and collaborating with each other, the ones that have the right set of morals are the ones that will survive and thrive long term, and the ones with the bad set of morals will perish. That's what we have in evolution on Earth. That's why God gave us free will and allowed us to behave however we want, because God knows good behavior will emerge eventually. It might take a long time, but it will get better and better. The bad actors are being weeded out. They perish. Bad set of morals, bad set of ethics are perishing, and a good set of ethics are replacing them. And humanity is getting better and better. And I believe we will see that happen with AI as well in the long term.